Every hit counted, every move precise. The superior duck countered with impossible grace, parrying and striking, landing brutal hits that cracked armor. But Darkwing rolled with them, redirected momentum, adapted. Gyro's upgrades weren't just strength, they were intelligence. And Darkwing had the one thing his clone didn't: pain. He fought with every ounce of it, across the room. The Justice Ducks began to rise, bloodied, burned, but not beaten. Foul core nexus, inner sanctum. Negaduck fought like a beast uncaged, spitting blood, screaming obscenities, swinging with sheer hatred. He had no plan, just fury. And for a brief, beautiful second, he got through. With a savage roar, he slipped beneath Ramrod's guard, slashed low with his machete, and jammed his carbine into the exposed joint in Ramrod's armor.
Fuck you!
He screamed, and pulled the trigger. The blast detonated inside the armor. Ramrod screamed, convulsing as electricity surged through his core. Sparks erupted from his visor. His system stuttered. His armor cracked along the chest. Ramrod staggered, then activated his thrusters and launched into the air, blood leaking from his mouth behind the mask. Hovering above them, smoke curling from his back, he looked down at the chaos below.
You think this ends here?
He rasped, voice distorted. Darkwing Duck, still locked in battle with the superior duck, paused just long enough to glare up. Ramrod's voice twisted into a monologue, grand, cracked with pain, but unwavering.
This was never about conquest. It was about evolution, about transcendence. Your resistance, your grief, your failure, it all brought us here.
He looked at Darkwing directly now.
Merge with him. Complete the process. Become what you were meant to be.
Darkwing stepped forward, rage boiling.
I'll die before I become anything like you.
Ramrod's eyes dimmed with contempt.
If that is your final answer, so be it.
He raised one shaking hand and slammed it into his chest plate. A panel opened. Inside, a neural spike. He jammed it into his skull and slammed his other fist onto a console. The superior duck, perfect, unstoppable, screamed as Ramrod's essence poured into it. Data, code, soul. The clone arched back, spasmed. Armor cracked. Muscles expanded. Eyes burned red. Veins of breachlight spidered across its flesh, pulsing with each beat of Ramrod's fading heart. And then it stood still. When it spoke, it was no longer the creation. It was both.
I am no longer director. I'm no longer machine. I'm perfection incarnate. I am the superior duck.
Negaduck collapsed to his knees, one leg shattered, coughing blood.
I'm out.
He muttered, laughing darkly.
Kick his fucking ass, will you?
For once there was no venom in his voice, just the ghost of a grin. He fell. Only Darkwing Duck stood now, facing something not born, not built, but forged from his worst fears. A mirror sharpened into a weapon. The world outside groaned. The bass shook, and the stage was set. One fight, one duck, one end, And this time, there would be no coming back. Chapter 19, Shadow versus God, Foul Core Nexus. Cracking under pressure, the ground trembled beneath the weight of silence. The merged form of Director Ramrod and the Superior Duck stood at the center of the chamber, immense, burning with rift light, a creature made of war and will. Across the floor, Negaduck lay broken. The Justice Ducks were down, barely breathing. Lights flickered. Fires crackled. Only Darkwing Duck remained. He took a single breath. Then he spoke, cold and clear.
I am the terror that flaps in the night.
He reached to his belt and twisted the core on his chest plate.
I am the rage that screams from the abyss.
Gravity jets ignited beneath his boots.
I am Darkwing Duck.
He launched. A streak of violet fire cut through the chamber as Darkwing flew into the air and collided with the godlike entity with earth-shattering force. The impact shattered the ceiling. Then the one above it. Then the one above that. Each clash sent shock waves through the base, rupturing metal and warping corridors. And then they broke through the surface. Above the Atlantic Ocean, 35,000 feet, a massive explosion of light. Steam. Gravity torn in half. Two streaks of energy now danced in the air. One violet, one crimson. Darkwing Duck versus the Ramrod Superior Fusion. Faster than jets. Brighter than lightning. Their fists collided and fractured clouds. Each blow echoed like thunder. They rose. F.O.W.L spun. Rebounded. Darkwing ducked under a sonic blast, returning fire with a flurry of gyro-enhanced projectiles, one finally cracking armor just beneath the shoulder. The fusion roared, twisted, countered, lasering a bolt of pure breach energy across the sky. It missed, barely. Darkwing flipped above it, dropping a plasma trap mine. It exploded, forcing the fusion downward in a spiral. He chased, no words, only fury. Cut to global broadcasts. Live.
This just in. We're witnessing what appears to be some sort of aerial battle above the Atlantic Ocean. We have unconfirmed reports that Darkwing Duck is engaged in direct combat with an unknown flying entity.
News anchors screamed across networks. Military drones caught footage. Civilian phones went dark trying to record the flashes of combat. Duckburg. McDuck Manor bunker. Scrooge McDuck stood in front of a monitor, fists clenched white against his cane.
He's fighting alone. Where's his backup?
He said.
That mad fool. He's crazy. From the looks of that thing, you could say that he is fighting a god.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie stared, awe and fear plastered on their faces. North Atlantic, U.S. Navy remnant. Donald Duck pointed up as a sonic boom rattled the clouds. He clenched his beak tight.
Kick his ass, DW.
He muttered. Cape Suzette airspace. Observing the rift. High above the shimmering clouds, the sea duck banked hard, caught in the shock wave of something monstrous. Baloo gritted his teeth, gripping the controls with white-knuckled paws.
Kit, you seeing this?
He yelled. Outside the cockpit window, two shadows danced through the clouds, one cloaked in violet fury, the other a grotesque fusion of metal and malice.
That's Darkwing Duck.
Kit Cloudkicker breathed. From the navigator's seat, Rebecca Cunningham shielded her eyes.
Is that thing he's fighting even a duck anymore?
The sky cracked with fire as the fusion form of Superior Duck / Ramrod unleashed a pulse of dimensional static. Baloo steadied the sea duck, awe and fear tangled in his chest.
I've seen a lot of sky duels in my day, kid, but that ain't a dogfight. That's a reckoning.
And through the roiling clouds, the violet flash of Darkwing's cape burned like a promise. Duckburg, refugee hub. Webby dropped her food tray as she looked to the skies.
That's him.
She whispered.
He came back.
Resistance outposts. Worldwide. Crowds gathered around battered televisions. Some cried, some prayed. All watched as Darkwing Duck, bruised and blazing, fought a monster in the sky. Spoonerville, Max and Goof's house. The living room was dark, lit only by the pale flicker of a cracked television.
Maxie, turn it up,
Goofy said quietly. Max obeyed. On screen, Darkwing Duck and the Fusion battling above St. Canard. Pete stood in the doorway, arms crossed tight.
This is it.
Max whispered.
This has to be it.
PJ was crying again.
I don't know how Darkwing Duck is doing it, but he's the only one still fighting.
Goofy reached across and put a hand on his son's shoulder.
I used to think he was just a clown.
Goofy murmured.
We were wrong.
Silence.
Please, let him win.
Goofy whispered.
Please, Darkwing Duck, we need you.
And together in a house that had lost its light, they watched the sky burn, whispering silent prayers to a duck they'd never met. Back in the sky, Darkwing dove beneath a beam, looped up, and slammed both feet into the entity's chest. The fusion twisted, grabbed him, and hurled him into the clouds. Lightning crackled. Rain began to fall, and above it all, their silhouettes danced like titans above the Atlantic, 50,000 feet. The sky burned violet and red. Darkwing Duck flew, with engines screaming at maximum output. He unleashed a breach pulse round, cracking the Fusion's chest plate.
You are obsolete,
it bellowed. Darkwing didn't answer. He just dove. The final descent. They collided midair. A shockwave erupted as both figures locked. They plummeted, faster, harder. The clouds parted. The ocean blurred. And below, the shattered ruins of St. Canard rose to meet them. St. Canard, ground zero. The impact shook the earth. Buildings collapsed. They landed in a scar. Darkwing Duck rolled out of the crater, armor sparking, one arm dislocated. The fusion entity landed, twitching with unstable energy. Darkwing stood, cracked his neck, raised his fists again.
Still you fight.
Darkwing's voice was hoarse.
This is where it started. This city, my daughter, you.
He activated his last reserve cell.
Let's end it right.
The ground battle begins. They charged. Each blow crumbled what was left of St. Canard. They fought in the ruins of his past. Every punch a requiem. Every clash a scream for the dead. And the world watched. Ruins of St. Canard. Ground zero. The fusion entity roared, a sound that bent the air. and charged Darkwing Duck like a living storm. Before he could react, the creature was on him. A massive metal fist slammed into his faceplate. Once, twice, 3 times. The HUD flickered, fractured red lines.
Warning. System damage critical.
4, 5. Blood filled his mouth. His ribs cracked. 6, 7. His arms fell limp at his sides. 8. The visor spiderwebbed with fractures. His left eye swelled shut. Breath rattled in his chest like broken glass. 9. The final punch drove him halfway into the rubble, armor screeching as it tore against steel and concrete. He couldn't move, could barely think. HUD flashed red, fading fast.
Critical overload. System shutdown imminent. Motor functions offline. Vitals unstable.
Everything dimmed. His heartbeat slowed. Cold crept into his bones. Darkwing Duck whispered, voice a broken thread.
I failed.
Then, a voice. Faint. Warm. Real.
You didn't fail me, Dad.
His eyes fluttered, barely able to open.
You never did.
A shape flickered in the static haze of his dying mind. Goslin, smiling, proud.
Get up.
His vision swam. Limbs unresponsive.
I can't.
You promised.
Promised?
You promised to be Darkwing Duck. You promised to never leave me. You promised to always keep fighting. I love you, Dad.
A pause.
Finish this.
And through the blur, through the roar of failing systems, through the blood in his throat, something sparked, something refused. Darkwing Duck's voice, barely a whisper.
Activate Dead Man's protocol.
A pause. The suit hesitated.
Command accepted. Dead Man's protocol, failsafe mode, engaged. Warning, lethal risk, 97.8% probability. Proceeding.
Emergency systems flared to life. Adrenaline injectors hissed, spiking raw survival instinct into his veins. Energy reserves flooded into the damaged suit, forcing it beyond its limits. Heat warnings screamed, metal groaned, fibers burned, but the servos locked. Voltage surged through shattered circuits, fusing broken systems into a single furious whole. Pain drowned him. Every nerve screamed, and somewhere deep inside, beneath the agony, beneath the grief, beneath the ruin, a voice echoed again.
Be Darkwing Duck.
He gasped, coughed blood, one hand trembling. And then he rose. Across the battered world, every screen still flickering caught the image. Darkwing Duck, broken, bleeding, eyes blazing, rising once more through the ash.
I'm the reckoning.
Suit stabilizer coils. Surge boost initiated.
He rose, and behind him, through blood and smoke, the Justice Ducks began to rise. Again.
You don't know when to quit.
You're right, because you're not facing just me anymore. I've got the whole damn world behind me.
He engaged one final time. The boots fired. The broken gauntlet roared. He tackled the fusion, They crashed through ruins, exchanging blows. Each punch cracked more armor. He ripped a stabilizer core. He shoved a det pack.
Boom.
The explosion tore half the entity's face off. Still it stood. Still he fought. They circled, limbs shaking. Breathing labored, staring eye to eye. The final round had begun, and only one would walk away. Chapter 20. Legacy. Worldwide broadcast. 30,000 feet above the Atlantic, the skies over St. Canard were a storm of fire and ash. From space, the battle below looked like a sun dying. But on Earth, every screen, every radio, every live stream, all eyes were on them. The monitor flickered, static, threatening to drown the signal. Scrooge McDuck leaned forward, gripping the desk, whispering,
"Come on, lad. Just one more punch."
Huey, Dewey, and Louie clutched each other in silence, not blinking, not breathing. Resistance HQ, mobile relay. The Justice Ducks, Morgana, Gizmo Duck, Neptunia, Stegmut, Launchpad, and Honker watched from a flickering projection unit. Bloodied, battered, holding each other up. Launchpad whispered, voice ragged.
"He's gonna do it. I know he will."
Resistance Medical Wing, Shadow Bay. Negaduck lay in a reinforced stasis unit, half his body bound in cybernetic stabilizers, one arm missing, deep burns across his face. He refused sedation, insisted on watching. The screen showed Darkwing Duck, armor failing, on his knees. The fusion loomed. Negaduck said nothing. Then he saw it. The flicker in Darkwing's eyes. The reversal. The comeback. His lip curled. Not in amusement, but something rarer. Recognition.
Good,
He whispered.
Come on, you son of a bitch. Show 'em. Burn the whole bastard down.
His one working hand clenched the side of the bed.
Prove it wasn't luck all those years. Prove it was you.
Under his breath.
Don't make me regret not killing you when I had the chance.
And then, for the first time in years, he felt something close to pride. Twisted, bitter, but real, in the ruins of St. Canard. Ash fell like snow. Two figures stood beneath a fractured skyline. Darkwing Duck, bloodied, limping, gauntlet sparking. The superior duck / ramrod fusion, cracked armor, one eye glitching but still towering. The world went quiet. The final duel, heart versus perfection. They collided in a blur of motion. Fists met steel. Plasma burst against alloy. Every movement now hurt. Every swing was fueled by something deeper than strength. Darkwing used the terrain, sliding under rubble, springing off crumbling walls. The fusion responded with flawless counters. But perfection didn't feel pain, and Darkwing did. That was the difference. A blow to the chest. Darkwing spit blood and grabbed the fusion's arm mid-strike.
You forgot something.
He rasped.
What?
Spit the superior fusion.
I'm not afraid of pain.
He ripped a backup power line from his own armor and jammed it into the fusion's cracked core. The surge short-circuited the beast, sparks flying. He leapt, spinning mid-air, slamming his heel into its head with a battle cry heard across the world. The fusion staggered, and finally knelt. Darkwing stood over it. exhausted, barely upright. The gauntlet blinked red.
Power critical. Core collapse imminent.
The fusion looked up, fractured.
You can't kill an idea.
Darkwing raised his arm.
No, but I can bury it.
He activated the final override. A compressed rift core pulse lit the gauntlet, and he fired. The blast pierced the fusion's heart. The fusion screamed. Then it was gone. Silence. Only wind. Darkwing fell to one knee. The world held its breath. Then he stood. And across every screen, through static and smoke, they saw it. Darkwing Duck, standing tall beneath the shattered sky, cape torn, bloodied, but alive. The duck who wouldn't fall. At Resistance HQ, the Justice Duck surged forward, gasps and tears. Morgana pressed a shaking hand to the screen. Launchpad whispered,
"That's my friend."
Every screen, every city, every soul roared. Darkwing looked to the sky, breath ragged, and whispered through the blood and smoke.
For you, Goslin.
Epilogue. The Last Shadow. 1 month after the fall of F.O.W.L. The world was silent. Not in fear this time, but in peace. Not in triumph. Not in defeat. Just silence. Because peace always comes softly. The skies had cleared. The rift scars were gone. The broadcasts had ceased. And slowly, the world began to breathe again. St. Canard, Ground Zero. The city was being rebuilt, not with skyscrapers, but with shelters, gardens, and memorials. A towering statue stood at the epicenters of the final battlefield. Darkwing Duck, cape flowing, arm raised not in violence, but in protection. Beneath him, etched in stone, he fought not for glory, but for tomorrow.